guys so much for the support you guys give all the time. That video, if you don't know this in YouTube terms, but it was a 1 out of 10. So thank you guys so much for that, and of course it always means so much to me. Make sure if you like this video, you like the video and subscribe to the channel. What else? Oh, also, I always have to say these whenever I talk about basketball on this channel. My opinion doesn't mean anything. It's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. I'm not Mr. Woj himself. I'm not a writer for ESPN. My opinion doesn't matter. So if I say a team that's your favorite team and you don't agree with me, that's awesome. If I say a team and you agree with me, that's also cool. Doesn't matter. It's all just opinions. It's all just fun, entertaining, and relaxation here. So now that being said, let's finally get started with today's video. So I have about a list of five teams in my head right now that I can think of that would really benefit for doing a little bit of a restart of their franchise. Now it could be because they're a team that maybe has had very high highs but hasn't really gotten anywhere, and they should just restart while they're ahead to get a better, head start in the rebuild process. Or they're a team that has been in that sort of weird sort of area where they're not good enough to win a championship or even sometimes make the playoffs, but they're not bad enough to get a good draft pick and have a player come save their franchise. So these teams are very much in a weird spot right now, and I feel like these sort of ideas I guess I have, or talking about these teams, will maybe make some sense. If not, totally awesome. Also, I'm not going to be spewing out names of teams that are going to be bad and that are just bad. Like, of course, like the Pistons are a team that obviously, needs a restart, but I think they already know that. Or a team like, I don't know, like the Charlotte Hornets, they're already in a restart, and then, going through that whole sort of drafting and tanking and stuff like that. So we're not going to be naming off teams like that. These are going to be teams that, could potentially make a playoff spot, or teams that even have maybe championship aspirations that just will not make the cut. So the first team I have in my head is a team that actually recently made a big time trade, and that is the Houston Rockets. Now I know. The Houston Rockets, I think this next year, are going to be safe. They're still going to be a really good team. They are going to be just fine, in my opinion. They're still going to be, could be a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th seeded team next year for sure. Still going to be a dominant offensive team. But the fact that they have one of the best players in the NBA, and it's just not going to go anywhere, it's very rough to see. And it's very obvious that James Harden doesn't really want to be there either. So, in my opinion, I think the Houston Rockets should start their sort of tearing it down process. Now, with that being said, I feel like obviously step number one would be trading James Harden, because the man's already turned down the max extension offer you guys gave him. He was going to be, I think, the first, or one of the few, I think he probably would be the first player to ever get paid 50 or more million dollars per year for a player. That is absolutely insane money. It's stupid money. It's money that doesn't make any sense, but that's what the NBA is willing to have for, contracts and stuff. Then I guess that's what he's gonna get paid. But it seems like he doesn't want to be there, and if he does, it's probably not going to be doing anything super crazy they couldn't do with Chris Paul and a really well-rounded team, because obviously, injuries and different things. They couldn't do it with Russell Westbrook, a former MVP. Do you think you can do it with a injured, prone, I'm obviously going to knock on wood for him, John Wall, and Boogie Cousins? I don't know, but we're going to have to see. And it just, at least in my opinion, from the sort of vibes I'm getting from James Harden, it doesn't really seem like he's very interested in playing basketball in Houston anymore. Also, I think just them rebranding themselves as not the small ball lineup team, I think will be very helpful. Finally getting a good center in DeMarcus Cousins, I think, is a good start to that. And if they do make a big trade for James Harden for, like I said, Jarrett Allen, I think that would be a lot better, obviously, defensively for the team. You have a new head coach, you have a new GM, I think, because Daryl Morey is gone now, so I feel like it's about time to blow it up. So, Houston Rockets are one of his teams. Up next, let's just do this team. I have here a team that I've been saying that should have been blown up probably a couple seasons ago, and that is the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic, in my opinion, should blow it up. Now, obviously, the Orlando Magic are nowhere near the sort of pedigree that the Houston Rockets are. They really haven't been a championship sort of go-get-em team since around the early 2010s with Dwight Howard. So it's been quite some time since they've been a real contender. And you know what that reason why is? Nikola Vucevic. This man has been carrying the entire franchise is on Nikola Vucevic's back. And I think it is very, very, very sad that they're keeping this man and paying this man. And he's doing an amazing job for that team. Let's actually look at some maybe of his stats right here. He's averaged 20 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. He's the top 20 in PER rankings in the entire NBA, which is totally crazy. Very, very underrated player. But it's the fact that he's playing in Orlando is probably why. Orlando has been in the sort of purgatory of like a 7th to 10th seeded team for the past couple seasons. And sure, they have good young pieces in, Jonathan Isaac for sure. Aaron Gordon sometimes shows flashes of being a really good potential player, and obviously with Markelle Fultz. But the fact that they drafted Mo Bamba, a guy with a lot of potential, he's just wasting away on the bench. You have older players with the team too, like Evan Fournier, Terrence Ross, who are players who would really benefit of being other teams. In my opinion, they're not going to be making the playoffs next year with, the rise of Atlanta and their new team with Washington back on the map with Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal and, Denny, my boy Denny. I hope he does really well this year. It feels like they're the odd man out, and they're probably going to be the odd man out for the next couple years now since, like I said, Atlanta are the next team up in the East, I think, for that sort of next sort of run of young, good talent. So, I feel like they need to tear it down. I feel like obviously the first thing you got to do is trade Vucevic. I thought they were going to trade Vucevic for the second pick. I thought in my head, I was so convinced that was going to happen. They were going to trade that pick, and then they were going to get a player like Anthony Edwards or maybe go LaMelo Ball or something different like that. But it didn't happen, and they just literally kept the same team. So that was very, 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 very disappointing. But maybe in this next offseason, with a quote-unquote more deep and sort of all-star potential draft, this draft is supposed to be better than last year's draft, maybe they do it this year. And I think they probably will. If Orlando does not make the playoffs this year, which I'm probably like 65-70% sure that is going to happen, I feel like they're going to tear it down, and I hope they do. They need to. They have great young talent with a mixture of old, good players. That's not going to get you anywhere. You need to have either a good rebuilding team or a team that's sort of like going for the playoff runs, the championship, sort of aspirations. This team has both at the same time, which is really weird. So I feel like you tear it down, you get rid of Vucevic, you get rid of Fournier, you get rid of players like that who just don't really have a place in the franchise. You replace them with good young talent, and I feel like you're sort of back on the right track. Sure, you can still keep Jonathan Isaac, Aaron Gordon, Markelle Fultz for sure. I think those guys are your staples. You finally give the playing time Mo Bamba needs and deserves. The dude literally has a song named after him that went crazy, and I feel like about time. I love Nikola Vucevic. He's such an underrated player, and it sucks him being on the team and making that team what it is. Such a good team. But just to be an 8 seed, they always get knocked out of the first round is very disappointing. And I don't really see them getting a lot better and better and better every year. I feel like they're stuck in a rut, and I feel like it's about time for some change. Oh, let's see here, another team. Let's go ahead and pick this team. This team is maybe a more obvious one, but they're not such a bad team where it's not like, oh well duh, but they're also not a good team where you're like, oh my god. And that is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now I know what you're saying. I know what you're thinking. ASMballeR. What are you talking about? No duh. The Cleveland Cavaliers. They're a bad team. This team, if you don't know, still has a potential top 10 center in the NBA in Andre Drummond, and also a very, very good player in Kevin Love, who are wasting away years of basketball talent for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Cavs are doing nothing about it, and it's tearing me up inside. Obviously, the first thing you gotta do is get rid of Drummond and Kevin Love. I think both of them need to leave. Sure, I guess Drummond could stay if he really just wanted to get tons of money and just get the ball all the time. If that is his aspirations and that what he wants to get out of NBA basketball, then go for it. But I would really like to see him in more of a system where he can be used better all around and not just being, the best player on the team. Whoop-de-doo, like who cares, I do think Colin Sexton is a good player, and I don't like the idea of them trying to make a Portland Trailblazers 2.0 backcourt where you have two small ball guards who are pretty much both point guards trying to play them at the same time. Obviously Dame and CJ can't do it because they're both very good individual players. I don't think Colin Sexton and Darius Garland are like that, and I don't think you can. So, in my opinion, you get rid of one of them. I would get rid of Darius Garland, in my opinion, because I do think Colin Sexton is the better player, has shown more of potential of being, the next sort of cornerstone for your franchise. So I think you keep him. Maybe you trade Garland, you trade Love, you trade Andre Drummond. I like the pickup of Isaac Okoro. I think he's a good pickup, but bro, when was the last time Cleveland has developed a good player? Obviously, Kyrie Irving was a very good player. I think he was always going to be a very good player no matter what. But Cleveland hasn't really gotten a sort of outside player that has developed into being a really good player. Maybe Cedi Osmond. Maybe you could say him. That's probably about it. And he's only like a decent player, like a good role player. That's about it. So I don't think Isaac Okoro is really going to be getting a lot, coming out of Cleveland. So that's very sad in my opinion. But they have Kevin Porter Jr., like I said, Jetty. They have Colin Sexton. You guys have a good set players already. You can even throw in Garland there if you want to. But the fact that they still have Drummond and Kevin Love destroys me inside, and they need to get rid of them very, 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 very fast. Do I think they're going to do it sometime this year? I think yes. I think this is finally the year where Kevin Love either gets bought out or traded, which is good. I don't know what team is going to take him for, $30+ million a year, which I guess if you're getting paid that much just to play, half-butt basketball, then I guess Kevin Love can take that $30 million to the bank. But again, this is really a team that's very surprising. This is more of an obvious pick, but I'm trying to throw in a little bit more harder picks and easier ones. So Cleveland is definitely a team that just needs to get rid of the sort of LeBron era type of players like Kevin Love. They finally got rid of Tristan Thompson, which is really good. He's finally off the team. Now Drummond's there. I guess he could stay if he wants to, but in my opinion, they might want to get rid of him just so they can get a nice clean slate. Get maybe a more of a new-aged NBA 5 instead of Drummond, who plays more of an old-school sort of 5. And maybe they go back to, being that sort of bottom-feeder team. And who knows, maybe you find yourself another LeBron or Kyrie Irving down the line. This is definitely more of a wow factor pick, at least in my opinion. And that is the Indiana think is at his peak. I think he's a really good player, and I think they should actually keep him because he is so well-rounded of a player. I really love that. And obviously, the elephant in the room, Victor Oladipo is never going to be the player he was before his injuries, and I think he's never going to be any better than he is right now. So I think you got to get rid, first thing, you got to get rid of Victor Oladipo. You got to get some trade value out of him while he's still healthy. I'm going to knock on wood for him, that he's still healthy, that he's still a relevant player that you can sort of, I don't want to say lie, but sort of tell, oh my god, this guy can still be an almost all-star. Do you want him for some access, stuff like that. So, I think that's an okay thing to do. So maybe you do trade him to the Nets for maybe a Spencer Dinwiddie or a Karis LeVert, and that'd be really dope to get a player like that, or you get him for some draft picks in this year's upcoming draft, something like that. You gotta get something out of him, or again, I think he's gonna walk. I think he's gonna go somewhere where he thinks in his head he can still be the best player on a team, whether that's the Knicks or back to Orlando, Charlotte, something like that, where he can feel more comfortable in being a top player. TJ Warren is an amazing player as well. I think you definitely keep him. So you got Sabonis, you got TJ, you got Brogdon. I feel like everyone else on that team needs to go. You got a new head coach, and I hope they start bringing a new vibe into the Pacers. And I really, 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 really hope that they do actually start shipping off some of these guys that you don't really need. They're not going to get any better over time. They're not going to get any free agents over time. So I think it's probably about time where you start slowly doing the rebuild process a little bit. I think Sabonis can definitely be, a third option, or maybe even a second option at being a championship contending team player. I really like his game. He's such an unselfish player, and I love that so much. Him with another amazing type of talent, whether it's a trade or a player gets drafted next year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, I feel like will be amazing for the Pacers. You get a really good defensive-minded point guard in Brogdon, who can play the 1 or the 2, he can guard 1 through 3. He's bigger, pretty decent three-point shooter, and he's very, like I said, well-rounded of a player. TJ Warren, which we saw in the bubble, is a guy who can blow off for 50 points if he wants to. A pretty decent wing defender, but is mostly a scoring output wing, which, again, very, very hard to find in today's NBA. All NBA teams want wings. So, I feel like with those players, you're set. Everyone else gotta go. So, Indiana, I love you. You're gonna be a great team. Like I was just talking about with the Houston Rockets, they're gonna be fine. But it's being just fine, and who knows, maybe not even making the playoffs is alright with them. I don't know, but I think they should probably blow it up. And lastly on the list is a team that, in my eyes, may start sooner rather than later with this rebuilding blow-up process. But again, in my opinion, I feel like the San Antonio Spurs should blow up their team. Obviously, with the Spurs not making the playoffs this year for the first time in, I think, 21 years, definitely sort of puts the last sort of, nail in the coffin for them. And I think it's about time they start the rebuild. And when I say this, it's obviously because they still have two, in my opinion, very good players, which a lot of contending teams would love to have, in DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. Yes, if you haven't forgotten, those guys are still on the roster. I'm very surprised that DeMar DeRozan opted into his contract, but I think it's because he knows he can't get a contract that big again. I think it's like a $29 to $30 million contract, which I don't think DeMar DeRozan is really worth anymore, because the NBA is a three-point shooting league. The man's can't shoot threes. He's not going to get that much of a contract anymore. So I think he either gets traded at some point in this season for hopefully some good assets for the Spurs, or just wait out the season and sign with a new team. gigs, and boom, you're already back in with a really good core set of guys. Can you imagine? We all, at least I hope we all know how good DeJounte Murray can be if he starts developing a offensive game. Let's take a look here, and also knocking on wood, can still stay healthy. He averaged last year 11 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. But like I just said, he always just finds himself being hurt. I think that was also his first year last year as a rookie, so definitely someone. Oh, actually, no, my bad. That was just his stats for last season. Sorry. He definitely looks like a player who could potentially average around 15 to 20, 2 steals, maybe even a block a game. He's going to be one of those very well-rounded point guards, which I'm very excited about. He also shoots 37% from 3 last season, 80% from the line, so you know he has a good touch with the ball. That can only get better once he gets more shots, which, again, comes into getting rid of LaMarcus and sort of letting him being more in control of the ball, being your point guard, I'm assuming, and hoping of the future. We talked about before with, the drafting of Devin Vassell. I'm very much hoping they can make him into a small forward. He is 6'6", but in today's NBA, a small forward could be like 6'5". I think Eric Gordon sometimes plays small forward, so I don't think that's really a big deal. So obviously, I love Greg Popovich. I love the Spurs organization. They've always been such a good team. As long as I've been a fan of basketball, which has been a while now. So I think it's about time you finally, start a new era of Spurs basketball. It's been a very long time. I feel like they're still holding on to the sort of Tim Duncan, Kawhi Leonard era of Spurs basketball when they just need to finally hit the reset and finally start being bad. I think it's okay to be bad sometimes. You gotta tank sometimes. You gotta go for the tank. And I think this season they will still be a competing team. They'll still be a team in that 10th and 9th seeded race to potentially have a play-in series against the 8th or 7th seeded teams. And I think they could probably even upset one of those teams if it's a good matchup for them. Because obviously Greg Popovich is an amazing coach. And not last year, but the year before, they could have beaten the Denver Nuggets, but it didn't happen. But they could have, and Denver is an amazing team. So the fact they can almost beat a team as good as Denver is scary because I want them to be bad. I want them to start the tank process, but I guess we'll just have to see. But getting rid of those players, maybe even Greg Popovich retiring. I mean, that's obviously gonna happen at some point in time, but I think it's about time that Spurs finally just start the rebuild, and I think it's gonna happen again sooner rather than later. So, like I said, those are the teams that I think are potential to be in the next sort of rebuilding stages: the Rockets, the Spurs, the Pacers, the Magic, and the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is a team that's kind of obvious, but it's kind of hard to think of other ones besides being really super obvious. Like I said, Detroit. I mean, obviously they get rid of like Derrick Rose and Blake Griffin. You can argue teams like Toronto, who only have like Pascal Siakam, and Kyle Lowry's getting old, and this, that, and the other. Or you can argue like Portland Trailblazers, and they only have Damian Lillard, and he has no help. So there's a lot of teams you could argue, but I think the 5 I said are more of like a yes, that definitely makes sense. Those are teams that really would benefit for doing a hard restart. So, and thank you guys so much for watching this video. It's probably going to be a little bit of a shorter one, but I just always love getting content out for you guys. And I've been doing it every day for the past like month. So make sure to slap a like on the video for that. It's been very tiring. A lot of editing, a lot of filming for you guys, but you guys know I love it. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to